All right, Ken, we are live. So good afternoon to you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is John Nerrell. I help professionals who are ambitious about their careers create their next advancement opportunity. And I want to welcome you today to my weekly Facebook Live show. This is show number 75. The title of this episode is called Managing Your ADD and Your Career. And I am so honored and grateful to have as our guest today, Coach Ken Kochajda. Ken, how are you?
Great, John. How are you today?
I am well. Thank you so much. So Ken is a faithful watcher, and I appreciate you always, listening in to these Facebook Lives. And he and I have gotten a chance to know each other a little bit. I'm fascinated about his work that he does in helping people who struggle with attention deficit disorder be more successful in their careers. And so that's why I've invited him onto the show today to share some information. So Ken, again, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, John. I feel honored to be a guest with such a distinguished career coach like yourself.
Well, thank you so much. I'm in good company. So as you know, Ken, we usually spend the first couple of minutes just welcoming people into the room and welcoming viewers back to the show. So if this is your first time here, welcome. I do host a weekly Facebook Live. All of these episodes are listed on my Facebook page, as well as my YouTube channel and my website. But if you want to get information about these shows and other relative information about career and leadership topics, I want you to check out a wonderful free offer that I have, which is an e-workbook on my website called 3 Steps to Creating Your Next Advancement Opportunity Without Feeling Overwhelmed. You'll go to my website at johnnerrell.com/free to enter your information to download the e-workbook. And then it'll also put you into my email community where I email everyone each week about various leadership and career topics. And one of those things are to help you get informed about what the Facebook Live is for the week and how you can get more information about these various leadership and career topics. So Ken, I know you're on the list and you're following this and everything. So it's great to have you here. As we get started, Ken, one of the things I really want you to do for us is to just give us what the definition is of attention deficit disorder. I think we oftentimes see that we think we may know exactly what it is, but for you as the expert in your coaching practice and how you help your clients, could you just sum up for us what is attention deficit disorder?
Okay, attention deficit disorder, the symptoms that we notice, the hallmark symptoms are distractibility, inattention, inability to finish tasks from front to back, poor time management, paper clutter. An ADD brain constantly seeks variety, so they'll jump from one thing to another without necessarily finishing the first task. And the other thing, the reason we have attention deficit disorder is the front area of your brain here is called the prefrontal cortex. Mm-hmm. That is the area that they basically, the most common analogy I can think of, it's a conductor of a symphony, and it keeps everything orchestrated. Well, in an ADD person, their conductor is not working appropriately. That's why you have scattered shot all over. And the chemical reason is everybody's heard of the chemical dopamine. Well, dopamine is what helps us keep focused. And in this prefrontal cortex, an ADD person does not have sufficient dopamine. And later in our talk, I'll tell you strategies that you can do to combat that. Medication is one. But even though I'm a pharmacist, and that's why I've made my living all the years is the business I've been in have sold medications. There are several strategies you can use outside of medications because, as the saying goes, pills don't teach skills. Right. Medications work 70 to 80% of the time, but the clients still has to work with coaching or other areas of help to get the symptoms of ADD minimized.
Got it. So Ken, for somebody who, let's say, they don't particularly struggle or suffer with ADD, but they may work with somebody who does, what would be some of the signs that would be an indicator that somebody may be struggling, if you will, with ADD in the workplace?
Let's say they may be working in an assembly line situation.
Okay.
And all of a sudden time comes for they're part of group. You get groups of people in this team working, Team A and Team B. Team A comes back from their coffee break and they say, okay, Team A, we're back. Everybody from Team B, go on your coffee break. If one of those Team B crew members has attention deficit disorder, they won't stop and think of, am I at a logical point to take a break here, or should I wait another 30 seconds or 40 seconds and finish this so when I come back, I'll know exactly where I'm at. They'll just drop what they're doing and head off. That could be. Or if you have a coworker that's told numerous times, that the meeting, the crew meeting is at 3:30 every Wednesday afternoon, and they're chronically late. Mm-hmm. Or their work area is, if you supervise somebody that's at a desk job and you go in and you ask them for reports, whenever they're asking for reports, they're fishing around saying, I just had it here somewhere, where to go. Those are all hallmark signs of attention deficit disorder. Another classic sign with ADD people, and this is where I come in as a career coach, is they have a classic sign of overcommitment. ADD people are very, very, very big-hearted, to the point that they don't say no, and that impacts their lives in several different ways. They want to impress the boss so bad and do such a good job. The boss says, hey, I need somebody to do this project. And without them putting on the brakes and stopping and thinking, saying, okay, Liz, I'm already committed to A, B, and C. Do I have time to take this on with D just to impress the boss? So they'll say, you know what, I'll take that. And next thing you know, the boss is pulling them in saying, hey, you volunteered to do all this, and you started everything good and nothing's finished. Classic ADD sign. Stop overcommitment and not finishing things.
So Ken, you alluded to a little bit earlier, you were a pharmacist by trade in your early career, but how did you end up becoming a career coach working specifically with people who suffer from ADD?
I have been down the trail of tears myself, and I'm going to come up with all the stops right here. In my 32-year pharmacy career, I had 14 jobs. It's very typical of an ADD person. The average person in the American population, if any of us are average anymore, changes job about every 4.5 years. Mm-hmm. With an ADD person, that 4.5 years is consolidated down to about 18 months. And that creates havoc for the family. I mean, I've been through 2 marriages, 2 divorces. I've had a bankrupt business, foreclosure on my house. And as I look back, because I'm also affected with cerebral palsy, and I always thought the cerebral palsy was my challenge. It was not. It was due to ADD. I'd work as a midnight pharmacist at one of the major retailers, and the day shift would come in and say, Ken, how come whenever we come in, there's clutter all over the place? And finally, I decided to seek some help. And when I was diagnosed as having ADD myself, that's when I decided to hire an ADD coach, not so much for careers, but for the management of all the challenges in my life. And that person impressed me so much, that's when I decided to become an ADD coach myself.
Nice. Pardon me. And thank you. Thank you for sharing your story, because I think it's always helpful for people to know a little bit more about reasons as to why people get into certain professions and some of the work that you do. And obviously this is really, it's not just important to you, it's a mission for you, right? In terms of not only the work that you've done for yourself, but also to help other people in the process.
I consider my debt to society to help people avoid the same frustrations in all areas of their life, but in particular careers. Because when you're constantly jumping jobs, it affects everybody in their family, and life is just a constant whirlwind. I call it the career merry-go-round.
That's a good analogy, absolutely. So Ken, in your work and also in your life too, what have you found to be like a primary strategy to really help you in dealing with ADD?
A good thing to do for day-to-day task is every day to make yourself a to-do list. I strongly suggest put no more than 4 items on your to-do list. 4 items is one opportunity. The other formula that sometimes works for people is to do 1 major item, 3 medium-sized items, and 5 small items. However, with my clients, I suggest they try the 4-item strategy first, and then when they come back to me the next week, we would look at their 4 strategies that they set as a goal for themselves and say, did you finish A, B, C, and D? And if they didn't, we force this, I encourage a candidate to step back and look and say, what happened? How come you didn't finish task number 3? And how can you possibly rearrange things so that next week when you come back, the 4 items that you will have picked, you will have finished them all. I found when you start a client with not the 9-step model of 1 big thing, 3 medium things, and 5 small things, that a lot of times it's just too much for an ADD brand to handle. I like going with smaller numbers.
So Ken, as a follow-up question, then it sounds like one of the things that you're able to do to best help your clients is to really not only help them just get their to-do list to 4 things, but really prioritize and focus on what those 4 things are, why they're important to get them done, and to move through those by honoring getting those things done before they can move on to something else. Would that be a fair statement?
That's the first statement. My statement for ADD coaching in a nutshell is I increase a client's self-awareness, because typically, like I said, going back to the overcommitment, sometimes they just don't put the brakes on and say, can I really do this, or should I concentrate on what I got going first? So I increase the client's self-awareness. I help them set goals, and most importantly, I help them take a big goal and break it down into small steps, because they're too the ADD whirlwind brain. They have to go in a very small sequential sequence to break things down into small steps to be more successful. And then so goal setting, increasing self-awareness, and goal setting are the 2 major hallmarks of ADD coaching.
So that's a great segue, because you and I were talking in prep for the interview today. You have something called the 5 pillars of success for really helping someone with ADD get clarity and become more productive as they move into dealing with their ADD and to be more effective or strategic in the workplace. So I was wondering if you could walk us through each of these 5 pillars step by step, and just to help us understand a little more about some of the work that you do in terms of helping your clients. So what's that first pillar that you work with your clients on?
The first pillar of success in the workplace for anybody, ADD people and non-ADD people face the same challenges, that simply in an ADD person, it's magnified. Nobody likes working on stuff that's boring. In an ADD person, it's much, much, much more difficult to work on boring stuff than a non-ADD person can chunk down and get the job done. An ADD person simply can't. If they're not interested, it just won't get done. But going back, pillar number 1 is the people you work with. Now, within the people you work with, when everybody says people you work with, they think automatically of your coworkers, and that's important. But the important thing with the people you work with is actually threefold. It's obviously the crew you work with, but it's also the supervisors and whatever clients you're serving, whether or not you see them. Another thing with ADD people, besides being interest, an ADD person feels that whatever they do on a daily basis, that it has to have some kind of positive impact in society. If an ADD person is doing a job that they don't feel is important, when they first take a job, they could be all excited because it's a brand new job and a new opportunity, and the ADD brain loves wellness. But down the road, if they don't feel they're really having a positive impact with people, the interest is going to wane off, and they're going to be right back on the career merry-go-round again. Having interest and having a positive, because ADD people are very, very big-hearted. That's why they have overcommitment. They don't want to hurt anybody's feelings.
Right. You said earlier too about that, they're big-hearted and they get overcommitted, and that's one of those signs. And it makes a lot of sense then that having that kind of connection to the people they work with, the people whom they're reporting to, the people they're serving, becomes a really big deal. And so obviously, if any of those were out of alignment, it wouldn't bode well, let's say.
Right, and that's where the challenge comes in, because they'll deliberately take on more work because they have a hard time saying no to people. Mm-hmm. That's pillar number 2 is
go on number 2, please.
Is the environment that they work in.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's no such thing as a quote unquote garden variety ADD person. Most ADD people can't can't handle real long, super long projects. One of my best friends from high school's got ADD, and he is a computer wizard. He's published a 1,400-page book on a specialized computer language. Most ADD people, to take on a task that big would cause them to, but you got to look at what some of us like working in quiet offices. Some of us like working on busy assembly lines or busy restaurants. They have to really look at what environment that they're in to really help them hit the maximum. And that's once again, that's where the self-awareness comes in. When they come to me and they say, well, things aren't going real good at work now. Okay, well, tell me more about that. When you say things aren't going, expand on it. What's going on? And if it's in the environment, or when they come to me asking to look for another job, well, let's see, what environments in the past have you done a good job with? What environments have you not done a good job with? And most importantly, when you go for a job interview, what strategic questions are you going to ask this company, or how are you going to figure out what their environment is before you get all excited about taking this new job because it's a new opportunity, and you find out, oh my God, I took a job that was just like the job I had, 2.5 years ago, and I didn't do too well with this. So that's where I come in too, is help them ask strategic questions to get to extract these 5 pillars and see what exactly am I getting into, and will it be a good fit for me?
Great. So let's stay with that. So what's the third pillar then for success in the workplace?
Third success would be the area of knowledge and expertise that you use. Mm-hmm. Let's say, for example, yesterday at lunch with my lifelong best friend, he's an accountant, and him and I got into a discussion, and I told him, I was tied up between accounting and pharmacy when I got out of school, and I said to sit in an office to look at balance sheets, even though I love numbers, would drive me crazy because it's not enough people contact, once again, related to the environment. And he says, I couldn't do that anyway. He says, that's why I'm a manufacturer's accountant. He says, I'm a supervisor for a manufacturing company that's got 4 factories, and he said, I get to rotate among all 4 of them. That's what I like. But so what I'm getting at is you have to really look at what drew me to this area of work to begin with, and what area am I really special in that I can have a positive impact on the company to help them move forward. And am I going to be using that area of expertise or not enough? Because if an ADD person's brain is not stimulated and they find a job boring, or they don't feel they're having a positive impact on people, it's going to be another 18-month ride on a carousel and off to the next job. So that's where, and sometimes I get the question thrown at me of, oh, well, I like changing jobs a lot. What's wrong with that? Well, if that's the case, they still need me as a coach, because when they jump from job to job to job, they need to ask questions at the interview. They can say, well, I got this skill set here. Let me see what you got going on, so that they can add something from the new job to their skill set. So when they're ready to jump to a new job, they can say to the new company, hey, I just been working with this company for the last 2 years. And I've been doing this, and I can help you guys impact to do this.
Mm-hmm. Nice. And so what's the 4th pillar, Ken? The
4th pillar is the mechanical or day-to-day repetitive tasks that are in the job. To go back to my example from a few minutes, some accountants just look and analyze numbers all day. Some accountants would jump from location to location to tell a certain division of the company how they're performing, how they can improve. Some people love just sitting off the corner crunching numbers. Some people like the interacting and explaining to people and teaching them how they can do things better. You have to really look at what task in this job would really help me, really makes me tick, so that I don't, once again, so that you don't get bored with it. The daily repetitive tasks, you really feel you're doing the task within your field of work that you like. Or like in my job in pharmacy, some people like solving more the insurance problems. Some people like solving the inventory problems. You have to really find out what am I doing, and is it important? Is it going to be important to me enough to keep me motivated to keep being satisfied at this particular job?
So Ken, follow-up question with that. So in terms of it, I'm thinking especially too in terms of someone in a managerial supervisory type role, where they have somebody on their team who may be dealing with ADD. When you talk about the importance of the tasks or the daily routine, what have you found to be the most either beneficial or successful in terms of ensuring that that person's work is still interesting to them, right? So in other words, they don't get disenfranchised or disgruntled in terms of the work that they're doing in their job.
As much as possible, if the job has rotating duties, if they can rotate among several duties, that's fine. If not, if you can catch it, the client's having the ADD kick in and they're really getting bored, what you need to do is, pull the client off the side, not necessarily scold them, but say, I notice you're getting kind of, a little wobbly here on your performance. Is there some way that maybe we can have you do your job with just by approaching it maybe a little bit different to kind of give you renewed enthusiasm, because you're doing the same job, you're just approaching it from a little bit different angle and still getting the same results. Because like I said, variety with 99% of ADD people is a must.
Okay. No, good to know. Thank you for that. And so the last pillar that you're going to talk about is something that is definitely a commonality between the work that we do. So what is that?
What you really value in your job.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, some people love going to work in a 3-piece suit and wingtip shoes and having a real corporate, tight corporate culture. Other people like going with, with just a polo shirt and blue jeans, and that all comes in the area of values. Or most importantly, I think when we think of values go beyond wages and benefits. Wages and benefits are actually the last thing somebody should look at they have to look at all the stuff we've talked about. Are they using a reasonable skill set? Mm-hmm. Do they enjoy what they're doing? Are they working with, reporting to, and serving people that are important to them? All those pieces have to be in place, because you could be paying somebody $50 million, but if they hate everything else about it, the money may be fascinating for a while, but sooner or later the frustrations and miseries will set in again. Family time is also a very big thing with people. So some people don't. Some people love working the 70 hours 9 months out of the year to give their family a better house to live in and better vacations. Some people would rather have the 40-hour work week, live life not so extravagantly, but have more time with their family. That's everything that a person has to look at before they say, yes or no to a certain job offer. And that's where, as an ADD career coach, I always ask them, does this look like anything you've done in the past, and how did it work for you? Because ADD people, if they don't have somebody to ask them that, they will make the same mistake over and over and over again. Because when they walk in to a job interview, everybody's real happy and friendly, and it's a new environment, and it's all exciting. And little do they know, they're walking into the same environment they were in with maybe just a little bit of different kind of clothes on, and the frustration is gonna start all over again.
Ken, how much as we talk about values, right? So how much in your work that you do you coach your clients around advocating for themselves in the workplace when it comes to the kind of work that they're doing or the environment that they're working in? When I'm thinking back on these 5 pillars that you just described, I'm just curious as to how much you encourage or coach your clients around advocating for themselves around those pillars.
Well, see, that's a very good question, John. One of the most sensitive topics we have in the ADD community is, do you disclose to an employer that you have ADD or don't you? And what I generally suggest to people for advocating for themselves, if there's 4 major tasks in a job, and one of them that they're not really weak, that they're really, let's say A, B, C, and D, and they're weak at task C, the way I tell them to advocate for themselves is just during your probationary or training period, just tell your supervisor, say, hey, part C of this job, it's not going real well with me. Can I either have some extra training? Can I maybe come in a little bit early to learn this? And if it's still a problem, then what I suggest them, and this is where getting along with your coworkers is good. You might be able to go to your supervisor and say, this part of the job, for some reason, I can do part A off the charts very, very well, but part C I'm having a rough time with. Is it possible I can do like a buddy assignment with somebody where somebody else can do more of C, because they're not good. They're not good at part A. I'm good at part A, and they're good at C, and I'm not good at C. So can we maybe modify our rotation here a little bit, where they're doing more of C that I'm not good at, and I'm doing more A that they're not good at. So advocate, communicating. Don't come out and say you have ADD. Just say, I'm not as effective as I really want to do. So what do you suggest? Do I come in early, get extra training, or maybe just modify my job where I'm doing more so what I am good at, and one of my coworkers can help me take on some of the stuff that I'm not quite as good at.
No, and thank you for sharing that. And that sounds like that's great advice for anybody, right? Anybody in terms of speaking up and helping make sure they get what they want and they need in the workplace.
Open communication goes a long way in the workplace.
Absolutely. So Ken, we are almost at time. I know the time just flew by today, but as we wrap up, as you know, one of the questions I always ask my guests, which I'm going to ask you right now, is what advice would you give to someone who's trying to create their next advancement opportunity?
For an advancement opportunity, it always looks good for an employer if you either come up with ideas that improve the efficiency of the operation that you're working in, or increase communication among coworkers to make the whole environment smoother, or possibly suggest ways where the physical layout of the workplace can be better to increase efficiency. And last but not least, everybody's favorite subject in any business is money. If you can come up with ideas that save the company money when an advancement opportunity comes up, that would put you near the front of the line, because if they look at the amount of value that you've contributed to the company and feel that you go in their next job. Now, an ADD person also has to be careful with advancements, because sometimes they're very good right where they're at. They have to do another very good self-evaluation. I've had clients come to me saying, I'm in this job, I'm offered this next swing up the ladder. Do you think I should take it? And that's where we got to really look at the exact nuts and bolts of that job to make sure, is it a good fit for them or not? Because a lot of ADD people think they will enjoy management, even middle-level management, and they get into it and find out it's an absolute nightmare. So that's an area where I try to keep in touch with my good clients, because every time they're ready to take on a new job, hey, glad to hear you're doing a great job. They're even considering you for a new job. But let's make sure a new job doesn't add up to another $5 an hour in the paycheck, but $500 worth of headaches,
Sure. No, that's absolutely. It's such a great point. So thank you for that. So Ken, if anybody out there listening is dealing with ADD and they're looking for an ADD coach to help them be a little bit more successful in the workplace, how could someone get in touch with you?
There's two ways they get in touch with me. My email is Coach Ken, lowercase coach, COACH Ken, at ADD4men.com.
Okay.
That's the first one. Or they can also visit my website at ADD4men.
Got it. Okay. And just to clarify, you will work with anybody, correct?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I specialize with men, and being a man myself, I know but I have worked with ladies, and there too. I'm going to be very honest with you. If a lady comes to me and I feel we're not a good fit, I have colleagues that are coaches that work specifically with ladies, because my job is not to take your money, or if I feel I'm not a good fit coach with you, I feel the best thing I can do is be very honest with you and refer you out. My job is to help you get your career frustrations under control. And if it means referring you out to a coach who can do a better job with that than I can, I have no problem with that.
Right. And Ken, that's such a great point. And I agree with you wholeheartedly. And that I see this in my practice as well, is that if I can't serve somebody fully, or I don't think we're a good match for coaching, I am blessed with a great network of coaches that I can refer them off to somebody else so they can get the coaching and the help that they need in order to help them move forward. And I think that's just one of the ways that we ethically and value-wise we show up as coaches. So thank you for mentioning that as well.
I would rather have a reputation of being an honest and ethical coach within the coaching profession as opposed to taking somebody just to take their money and do a mediocre to bad job.
Yeah, absolutely. So Ken, I want to thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time today to share your story and to share what you do, especially your 5 pillars of success in the workplace with everybody. You've been a great guest and I really appreciate it. So thank you.
Well, thank you, John. And I want to congratulate you on building a very, very nice practice in a relatively short period of time. And I think you're already one of the distinguished people in the career coaching circle. And I see nothing but a very positive future for you. And I'll always be on your weekly shows because I get something out of each and every one of them.
Ken, I appreciate that. Thank you so very much. That means a lot. All right, so if you are watching this video and you liked it, please make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button in order to get notified when we've got new Facebook Lives and videos dropping. And I look forward to seeing you all again next week with another topic specifically related to our careers and our career transition. So until next time, my friends, take care, and I'll see you next week. Ken, thanks again.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.